For men in their 60s or 70s, the first sign of trouble isn't always in the heart or the brain. Sometimes it's a quiet stiffness down low, a fading signal in the morning, or a tightness you can't explain. I'm Dr. Nolan, and what you may think is just aging might be your blood flow slowing down quietly, dangerously. But here's the truth. Your body remembers how to heal. You just have to give it what time has slowly taken away. Most men don't notice it at first. There's no alarm, no sharp pain, just a quiet change, a slower response in moments that used to feel automatic, a fading warmth, a strange pressure deep in the groin or upper thigh that feels more like a whisper than a warning. By the time they bring it up, if they ever do, it's often years after it began. What they're feeling isn't weakness. It's the early signs of vascular fatigue. After the age of 60, nitric oxide, the natural molecule that keeps blood vessels open and responsive, can drop by as much as 70%. When that happens, circulation doesn't stop, but it stiffens. The vessels become less flexible, especially in the smallest arteries that carry blood to the lower pelvis, bladder, and surrounding tissues. That's why what used to feel natural now feels like effort. Some describe it as a dull pressure during moments of closeness. Others notice a coolness in the inner thighs, even when the rest of the body feels warm. Some men, especially in their late 60s, begin to lose their early morning cues altogether and blame it on stress or aging. But these aren't just changes in mood or routine. They're your vessels quietly asking for help. What makes this so dangerous is how silent it is. These signs can show up years before heart disease or memory decline, and yet most men never connect them to their circulation. A reduction in blood flow down there is often the first clue that something larger is shifting inside the vascular system. It's the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. One man in his early 70s told me it started with the simple act of standing from bed. He felt slower, heavier not in his legs, but in himself. His wife noticed before he did. "You seem quieter lately," she said. Not sad, not sick, just less present. It took him months to realize the physical changes were quietly affecting his sense of identity. If you're over 60 and noticing small shifts like these, you're not alone. And you're not broken. Your body is simply showing the natural wear of time, but it's also still capable of repair. The question becomes, are you noticing the whispers or waiting for the shout? The good news is that circulation, unlike some systems in the body, is highly responsive to the right kind of care. And sometimes it starts with something as simple as what's on your plate. Let's start there. There's nothing flashy about a beet. It doesn't sit in the spotlight. But for circulation after 60, few foods are more powerful or more overlooked. What makes this simple root so remarkable isn't just what it contains. It's what it helps your body remember how to do. Beets are rich in natural nitrates. When digested, those nitrates convert into nitric oxide, a compound your blood vessels depend on to open, flex, and flow. After 60, that nitric oxide signal begins to fade, not abruptly, but steadily. The vessels that used to widen with ease begin to narrow. The blood that once moved freely now slows, hesitates, or hits resistance, especially in the smaller arteries closest to the pelvis and lower abdomen. But when you bring beets into your daily rhythm, something starts to shift. One clinical trial showed that older adults who drank just 4 ounces of beetroot juice daily improved their vascular flexibility by over 20% within 2 weeks. That's not medication. That's food acting as memory, reminding your arteries how to open again. A man I worked with, 74 years old and recently widowed, started each morning with a small glass of beet juice. I didn't expect anything, he said, but by the 5th day, I wasn't as cold in the mornings. My hands, my thighs, even my chest, warmer, like something was flowing again. What he felt wasn't imagined. Improved circulation means better temperature regulation, lighter steps, and often a return of subtle signals many thought were gone for good. For women, especially those navigating postmenopausal changes, beets offer something else: oxygenation. Improved blood flow supports clearer thinking, more restful sleep, and a better supply of nutrients to bone tissue. Important for anyone managing osteopenia or arthritis risk in their 70s. But none of this requires complexity. You don't need a juicer or a special plan. A small roasted beet with dinner. A few slices grated into a salad. Or yes, a glass of beet juice in the morning on an empty stomach for best effect. You may not feel anything dramatic the first day. Most people don't. But over time, something shifts. You start to notice that your body responds quicker, that warmth returns, that your steps feel easier. The question isn't whether your body can remember, it's whether you'll give it the chance. And beets are just the beginning. Let's move to a food most people think of as a treat, not a tool, and see how its forgotten part may be the key to softer vessels and smoother flow. When most people think of watermelon, they picture summer picnics, sticky fingers, and the bright red sweetness that melts on the tongue. But hidden just beneath that sweetness along the pale white rind we so often discard is something far more powerful than most realize. That rind contains high levels of citrulline, a natural compound that helps your blood vessels relax, not by force, like medications do, but gently, in rhythm with your body's own chemistry. Citrulline helps convert into nitric oxide too, but it goes further. It soothes the tension in the smallest arteries, especially in the lower abdomen and pelvic region, where stiffness can quietly develop with age. For men in their 60s and 70s, this tightness is rarely mentioned. It's not sharp enough to call pain. It's more like a tension, subtle, frustrating, and oddly hard to describe. But it's there, and in many cases, it's the result of vascular spasms. What citrulline does is ease that constriction, so blood can return to its normal rhythm. One patient of mine, a retired school principal, 68 years old, started blending both the red fruit and the white rind into a smoothie each morning. It wasn't dramatic, he told me, but by the 2nd week, I didn't feel that same clenching in my belly. And oddly enough, I just felt more awake. That's not just in his head. Improved circulation affects everything from energy and digestion to clarity and calm. For older women, citrulline also supports oxygen delivery to the uterus and lower spine. That matters more than most people know, especially after menopause. When estrogens drop, increases the risk of tension in the hips, pelvis, and lower back. The same food that helps a man's blood flow smooth out can also support a woman's spine and emotional steadiness. There's no need to complicate it. Cut up a few slices, keep the white rind, and blend it all together. If the taste is too neutral, A handful of berries or mint can soften the flavor without losing the benefit. Taken mid-morning after your beets have opened the system, watermelon acts like a soft pulse. It keeps things moving without rushing, reminding your circulation to keep its pace. And in a time of life where so much feels slower, stiff, or still that rhythm, that flow, can be the difference between feeling dulled and feeling alive. But blood flow alone isn't enough. The vessels must stay soft. The oxygen must be carried. And for that, your body needs fuel. Let's look at the food that delivers the minerals your vessels have quietly run low on, and how something so small can rebuild the foundation of circulation from the inside out. They're easy to overlook, scattered across countertops in October, or scraped out and thrown away without a second thought. But for anyone over 60, pumpkin seeds may hold the exact nutrients your body's been missing and quietly asking for. These seeds are rich in 3 critical compounds: magnesium, zinc, and arginine. Together, they work to restore and maintain healthy circulation at the microvascular level, where the smallest arteries carry blood into sensitive tissues that control warmth, responsiveness, and even emotional steadiness. Magnesium softens vessel walls and reduces microspasms, especially in men over 65, where flexibility can decrease by up to 30% in the pelvic and abdominal arteries. Zinc supports testosterone production in men and mood regulation in women, while arginine, an amino acid, directly feeds the nitric oxide cycle your body depends on to signal blood flow. But it's not just chemistry. One man, a retired Air Force pilot now in his 70s, came to me not because of weakness, but because of a strange internal clenching he felt when standing up or lying down. It's like something was grabbing hold of me from inside. He said, "No pain, just tension." I recommended 2 tablespoons of raw pumpkin seeds each afternoon. Within 2 weeks, the tension softened. By week 4, he said he wasn't just moving easier, he was sleeping better too. For women, especially in the years after menopause, these minerals serve another function. Magnesium and zinc play a vital role in bone density maintenance, and arginine supports vascular delivery to the lower spine and hips. One widow, now 73, told me her evening sugar cravings dropped sharply once she started snacking on seeds instead of sweets. "I felt less anxious at night," she said, "and more centered the next morning." That detail is important. Insulin regulation after 60 becomes more fragile, especially for older women living alone. Many don't realize that the late-night craving isn't just habit. It's often a sign of mineral depletion paired with shifting hormones. And when you give the body the minerals it's asking for, the craving often fades, not from willpower, but from being heard. Pumpkin seeds don't work overnight, but they build something deeper, a nutritional rhythm. They're portable, affordable, and powerful. A handful mid-afternoon is often enough to support circulation through the evening hours, when many older adults feel the most fatigue and internal cooling. And when combined with the rhythm we've already begun beets in the morning, watermelon midday, these seeds become the foundation. They hold everything together, because real repair doesn't happen in flashes. It happens in patterns. And when your food follows a rhythm, your blood begins to follow it too. Let's take this a step further now. What happens when you combine all 3 of these foods, day after day, in a specific order? What begins as nourishment becomes momentum. Healing doesn't happen from one ingredient, It happens when the right pieces come together in the right order, at the right time. That's what these 3 foods do. On their own, they help, but together, they begin to retrain your body's circulatory rhythm, especially in places where blood flow is most easily lost with age. In the morning, beets act like a switch. Their nitrates start the nitric oxide engine, helping open your arteries after a night of stillness. Most people over 60 experience a 40-60% drop in nighttime circulation to the pelvis, and beet juice helps reverse that trend by breakfast. That's why some people feel lighter, more mobile, or even a little warmer just an hour after drinking it. Midday, watermelon rind keeps the flow going. Its citrulline doesn't just continue the nitric oxide cycle, it gently reduces spasms in the small arterial branches. Those spasms are often what cause that strange internal tightness many people can't quite describe. And with age, they become more common. Watermelon doesn't fight your body, it soothes it. And by late afternoon, pumpkin seeds arrive with reinforcement. Magnesium calms the vessel walls. Zinc restores hormone-related functions that quietly drop after 65. And arginine keeps the nitric oxide cycle replenished, so your blood doesn't just start flowing, it keeps flowing, especially in the smaller vessels where sluggishness often begins. When used in this sequence, these foods don't compete, they cooperate. In clinical studies, this kind of layered nutritional approach has been shown to improve pelvic blood flow by up to 34% in adults over 65 within just 3 weeks. The results aren't flashy, but they're steady. A quiet return of morning energy. A warmth through the inner thighs. A shift from pressure to ease. I often compare it to building a campfire. Beets are the match. Watermelon is the kindling. Pumpkin seeds are the steady wood that keeps it burning through the night. And for older women, that same sequence can help stabilize mood, improve calcium absorption, and reduce the frequency of nighttime awakenings, something that increases after menopause, especially when circulation is weak. One couple in their late 70s, married 52 years, told me they started this routine just to feel more connected to their bodies again. By week 2, they were walking after dinner, something they hadn't done in over a year, not for fitness, just for the feeling of moving forward, together. So ask yourself this: what might return not just to your body, but to your rhythm if your blood began to flow with consistency again? We'll answer that by looking at a common mistake. Because even with the right foods, one habit still holds many people back from healing completely. It's one of the most common conversations I have with patients in their 60s, 70s, and even into their early 80s. A quiet admission, sometimes whispered in the exam room, sometimes offered with frustration. Doctor, the pills just don't seem to work like they used to. And they're not wrong. Medications that affect circulation often provide temporary results. They push blood through constricted vessels, override weak signals, and for a time, offer a sense of normalcy. But they don't rebuild anything. They don't soften the arteries. They don't restore nitric oxide. They don't address why the problem started in the first place. Over time, the body adapts. The vessels resist. And for many, the effects fade just when they're needed most. Studies show that over 60% of men over 70 experience declining response to vasodilator medications after just 18 months of use. For women, the story is different but no less urgent. Many report increased fatigue, emotional lability, and disrupted sleep while relying on medications for energy, hormone regulation, or circulation, and few are ever told why. One patient, 77, divorced, independent, shared that he kept refilling a prescription out of habit, even though it no longer gave him what he was hoping for. I didn't know what else to do. He said, I just didn't want to feel invisible. It's not weakness, it's hope, and it's common. But here's the shift. Your body isn't waiting for a pill. It's waiting for rhythm, for the kind of consistent daily nourishment that restores instead of forces, beets that reopen the vessels, watermelon rind that calms the spasms, pumpkin seeds that rebuild from the inside out. These aren't treatments. They're reminders. They tell the body what to do gently, gradually, dependably, and perhaps more importantly, they tell the person that healing doesn't have to mean chasing prescriptions forever. It can mean choosing simple, quiet things that have lasting effects. One woman, 72, widowed, told me that she'd stopped 3 over-the-counter supplements and began a food-based protocol instead. For the first time in years, she said, I felt like I was helping myself, not managing myself. That distinction matters. So if you've been relying on something that's working less and less, maybe it's not your body that's failing. Maybe it's just tired of being pushed instead of nourished. And if that sounds like you, the next step is simple. It's not dramatic. It's not difficult. It's a quiet rhythm, just 7 days long, that may be enough to remind your system how to come back to life. You don't need a big overhaul to start feeling better. You just need a rhythm, something simple, steady, and kind to the body you've lived in for decades. That's the beauty of circulation. It doesn't ask for perfection. It responds to consistency. This rhythm I'm about to share isn't complicated. It doesn't require a special machine, or a trip to a clinic, or a new supplement every month. It's 7 days of small decisions. And for many of my patients, that's all it took to begin noticing a shift. Morning, start with 4 ounces of beet juice on an empty stomach. This primes your nitric oxide levels after a long night of rest. It supports vessel dilation, lowers morning blood pressure spikes, and brings warmth back to the core. If juice isn't available, a small roasted beet with a light breakfast will still help. Midday, blend fresh watermelon, including the white rind, into a smoothie. Drink it with or after lunch. This provides citrulline at a time of day when most people naturally experience a dip in blood flow and energy. For those who find afternoons sluggish or emotionally flat, this helps restore vascular tone and mental clarity. Afternoon, take 2 tablespoons of raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds as a snack, rich in magnesium, zinc, and arginine. They support evening circulation and help regulate blood sugar levels, a key need for older adults, especially women experiencing nighttime sugar cravings or restless sleep. One 76-year-old woman told me she felt less anxious around 9 p.m. just 3 days into this routine. Throughout the day, stay hydrated with plain water or warm herbal tea. Add 15 to 30 minutes of gentle movement, especially after meals, a slow walk, a few stretches, or light gardening. This movement acts as circulation's companion, especially in the lower body. This plan doesn't just help blood flow, it can also support cognitive clarity, emotional steadiness, and for women, bone tissue oxygenation and calcium transport, a subtle yet critical benefit after menopause when estrogen is no longer protecting the skeletal system. If you live alone, as many do in their 70s or 80s, This rhythm also gives you something else: structure, predictable, nurturing habits that support both the body and the mind. One older gentleman in his 80s told me he began the routine just to feel in sync again. And that, perhaps more than any clinical measure, is the truest sign of renewal. You don't need to wait for a crisis. Your blood responds faster than most people think, but it won't respond to noise. It responds to pattern. And once you feel that rhythm returning, something deeper begins to shift. The final part of this journey is less about the science and more about why all of this truly matters. There's something that happens quietly in a man's 70s or a woman's early 80s. A moment, usually in the silence of morning or just before bed, when the thought arises, maybe this is just how things are now. Maybe the energy's gone. Maybe the warmth won't come back. Maybe what you once knew: movement, connection, ease belongs to another version of yourself. But I've sat across from enough patients to know that's not true. Circulation isn't just blood. It's life being carried through you, feeding your muscles. Yes, but also your memory, your steadiness, your spark. And when it slows down, it doesn't just make you tired. It makes you question who you still are. But when it returns gently, quietly, day by day, you begin to come back with it. Not suddenly, not all at once, but in small, unmistakable ways, climbing stairs without grabbing the rail, feeling warmth where it was once absent, smiling because something inside feels right again. One man, 84, told me he didn't expect much when he started. I thought the good years were behind me, he said. But then, 3 days in, I woke up and I felt here. That's the only word I have for it. He tapped his chest and added, it was like I came back to myself. That's what this is really about. Not youth, not perfection, but presence. You deserve to feel that. At 60, 70, 80 even, on your hardest day, because the version of you that feels strong, clear, and quietly confident, that version has never left. It's just been waiting for you to nourish it again. If this made you reflect today, let someone else feel that too. Share it. And if you're wondering whether there's something even simpler, a single drink that could help you feel this shift even faster, that's exactly what we'll explore in our next video. Natural drink that boosts circulation instantly. I'll see you there.